All right, here we go. Wednesday, late night happy hour. Cofield, along with Soren. Petro.
Yes, sir.
Soren with the pre-2021 haircut, I think.
What is that?
The pre-2021 haircut.
No, actually, it's just I showered like 45 minutes ago, so it's still like wet
Nice.
and functioning. It hasn't just gone to shit and hanging right down on my head.
You still shower, huh? COVID. Pandemic. Good for you. Still making an effort.
I try, you know. I never leave the house. Least I can do is shower up. So
What's up, Cameron? How you doing? As we load up the chat room, bunch of stuff to get into. This will be our final show of 2020. Brady with a good question. What do I spend on a haircut? Generally 20 total with the tip.
really,
That's about it. 22. Yeah, haircut's like $13. Here you go. Here's another 9 or 10. That's it.
I had a gal. I was getting charged $35, $35, or maybe it was $30, and I would tip 10. I would give 40. And the gal got all flaky on me, so I left, and I didn't have anyone. I didn't have a steady place to go for a long time. Right, this is 6, 7, 8 years ago, and then I found a gal buddy of mine says, "Hey, you gotta go to Susie," and I said, "Okay, all right, let me try it." Awesome, right? She charges $20. So and whenever I have to a little schedule adjustment, she didn't freak out and throw a tantrum. So I give her $40 every time.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah, she's the best. Absolutely the best. Because my hair sucks. And so, and she's, when you get there's a press conference at Kaufman right in the middle of your haircut, and you call her last minute and you go, "Listen, I'm sorry, but okay, let me see what I can do." That to me is worth it every single time.
Why does your hair suck?
Because it's just straight. It doesn't do anything.
What would you like it to do? You're a guy.
I don't have hair aspirations. I'm just saying that's it. That's all it does. There's a little cowlick thing, so I have no choice of where to part it. It's going to be right there. Whether I put it there or not, that's where it's going to finish. And so that goes in there, and then the rest of it just kind of does what it does.
Have you ever done anything else with your hair as an adult? When's the last time?
You've known me pretty much my entire adult life. Have you seen a different look?
When's the last time you did anything different with your hair? Were we talking not even a teenager?
I had a 2 haircut run where the kind of the matted down thing coming down, and of course it ended up being a picture or something I had to take, and so now I'm reminded of that asinine decision I made. Every time I see this picture, it's this thing going there. Yeah, no. Otherwise, pretty much same shit, different day, man. That's what this is. This is all we got.
I think you with a flat top would be good. Just very militant.
Well, with the peninsula thing that's happening here, I'm starting to get some weird activity on the sides. I used to be able to count on the sides, but now the sides are now trouble. Yeah. So,
Well, Donovan, we appreciate you coming in. This is what we do, man. This is what we do. Sports talk sometimes, but we may go 45 minutes on Soren's hair.
By the way,
this is the 17th show we've talked about Soren's hair.
It is not. It is not
good topic.
Show. Did you read the email I sent back to you?
I did.
And I said, "Are you sure you want to lead with non-sports?" And it wasn't hair. It wasn't my hair. That was one of the things that was being considered.
I told you I was going to have some non-sports stuff, and then I fizzled out. Something will come up, but that just came up. That just came up randomly because your hair looked different, and I was like, "All right, you got a haircut," and then we just realized that you've gone basically 35 years, maybe 40 years without changing your hair.
That's right.
That's kind of cool. And as Jim Gemma says, who's a local here, Jim is sorry, Jim, but you're quite bald. Jim makes the joke. For me, also be thankful that you're not losing to the back, because I'm now going to fucking look like some sort of Donald Trump hair sculpture thing where it's always growing long and I throw it back, or it's over this way, or I may just shave it and then I'll look like an asshole, and my brother looks like an asshole. I don't want to look like that. That's my younger brother. He's been bald for a while. Now, the funny thing is he's not a fat asshole. That's me. He's just an asshole. Because I was looking at a picture of him the other day and I'm like, wow, that's what I could look like from a physique standpoint.
right?
Wow, that'll take 80 pounds to get there. Okay, start to work.
I don't have hair envy. My hair just is what it is.
I do.
I've never thought of it as being good or bad. It just is what it is, and I just live with it. That's it. It's that's well, we'll see what we can do. But it is definitely. I am entering at least 5 head, and can see 6 head. Coming down the road, I think.
Sorry, I was laughing at that'll take 80 pounds. So often we use liquor instead. Yeah. I actually tonight I'm finishing off some eggnog. I noticed because I'm very frugal.
Yeah.
I noticed that I have 2 different eggnogs right now. I've got one that's spiked that I got from Costco for like $9. It's big. But I mix it with regular eggnog, and this eggnog said best to drink by 12:23. So fuck it. Let's do it. If it's a little bit curdled, it's good for the insides. It'll clean me out.
By the way, royalty, as I see on there, put on, go up a little bit to, there you go. Big time, man. This is like the news guy in KC.
Is that right?
Yeah, great guy too. Great guy. Big time. Big deal.
Tell me something we may not know about him that's sort of tittillating. Because I know, do you have a weather guy who was fighting with one of the wives a ways back there?
Yeah, different channel than.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chris. Enemy territory here.
The thing about Chris is what you don't know about him is that he's like such a news guy. You think because he's so good at delivering, he's good on the broadcast, right? Then he's super knowledgeable. He's on top of everything that's going on. You're like, oh, this guy has to be some bookworm stiff that's just got his head. He's either on the phone with a politician or chasing down a story, or the guy's got to be just a drip, but he's like as good a guy as you ever want to sit and have a drink with. So much fun to talk to. Great guy. Thanks for joining us for a couple of minutes, Chris. I know you're busy.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's a pizza guy.
Yes, the regular folks.
He is regular folks. Super.
Someone's a bro or a dude when you meet him, then it's okay.
Oh, he's still classy. Don't get me wrong. He's not hanging out at our festivities. Trust me, Steve. He's still above us. I'm just saying.
But I do appreciate people who can wallow in the muck and the mud and do it naturally. You know what I mean? Because I can't.
Common man, not wallow in the mud.
I can't step up. I try to step up. It's awkward.
Do you think if you shed the flannel,
it's not worth it?
Do you think the flannel, do you think your constant quest to be, look like the local outdoor repairman is maybe holding you back?
Tool time 2020 with
certain moments you could break out, perhaps
except I can't do anything. I was looking at one of the bathrooms in the house, and we've got the little sliders for the lights, and we had actually someone come in and change it, and then I looked, and the girlfriend broke it, and I'm like, well, I ain't gonna get it fixed. Flannel or not, I don't know how to do it, so I got no shot.
Yeah, good times.
I know I'm limited, very limited. I feel like you are limited in some ways in talking about our guy Patrick Mahomes outside the market. I mean, we just blister him. Just a terrible guy. The fiance thing, we just kill him. We don't, but
you do kill his fiance.
We've beaten her up a couple times. I mean, nothing terrible. Nothing terrible.
We've had those discussions. She's quite active on the social media, and if you're gonna be that way, you invite it upon yourself. You mentioned one time. You mentioned the spat that happened several years ago with Alex Smith's wife, and she got out there and she told the weatherman to stick to weather when he was ripping Alex Smith, and she fired out on Twitter. Gary Lezak said, "Gary, stick to weather," and then Gary immediately tucked tail. He didn't fire back. Oh, I'm sorry. I busted his chops big time on it. I was like, dude, you're a fan. You can have an opinion. Why? What? Because you're the weatherman, you can't have an opinion about the Chiefs? I can't comment if the steak sucks, at a restaurant because I'm not a chef. What is this?
Well, but there are icons who are bigger than the normal local star, and they are you're kind of playing with fire if you go after them. We haven't really had anyone like that in Vegas probably since Tark, and I wasn't here. Doing sports radio when Tark was in his heyday. That might have been a dangerous thing. But you're operating in a different space. And I wanted to ask you, I was thinking about this the other day, and actually we talked about it a little bit today on Cofield and Company. I think we're going to have a shitstorm in 2021 as different leagues want to get the vaccine. And the line is long right now. It's already getting effed up. The distribution sucks. I read a story today that at the current pace, we should all be vaccinated in 10 years.
23, yeah.
It's 10 years. It's 10 years. Well, people are going to start getting antsy. We're going to start getting aggravated. And I'm already annoyed that there are so many COVID hoaxer, anti-masker politicians who are like, oh, the vaccine? Yeah, here's my arm. Like, wait a second. For 9 months, you pricks. You women were telling us it's not real. I'm sitting at home. Look at this. I need the vaccine. So that's already annoying me. And I know there are people out there who don't like certain athletes, don't like certain sports, or people who just don't like sports in general. What's going to happen if Mahomes and his fiance are out there and they're like, we got the vaccine, and like, you know, your mom's like pushing 80.
Yep.
You're not going to go on the radio and go, what the frig? My mom hasn't gotten it yet. Mahomes got it? Come on.
I think it depends upon, and I do love that you use Mahomes, because like if you use, you know, the sixth corner, right? It's going to be a different reaction than like the superstar of superstars of the NFL.
Right.
I have no problem. Listen, do you remember not watching sports? That's nice, Brady. Do you remember not watching sports?
Of course, yeah.
Did it suck?
It sucked pretty bad.
So I think we would all agree we want to watch live sports. And if that can help us get live sports going and make it easier and to not have to cancel games, then and I hate to say it, but for our 5 professional sports leagues, NBA, MLB, NFL, MLS, NHL, for the 5 sports leagues and college football, basketball, I'm for them getting it before a lot of people. The question is, the devil's always in the details. Who? After who? I'm with you. My mom is 79 years old and hasn't hugged her grandkids since early March, right? That's bullshit. And so that needs to change. And so I do think that there's a level, but where do they sit? Like the NFL needs to get their vaccine before I do.
I disagree.
Really? Because I need to watch the NFL. Having a vaccine and no sports, I'm screwed.
Yeah, but if I'm dead, I'm screwed. There's no job. There's like, you're right. I need the subjects. NFL is the biggest thing. It's a big earner. I can make money off it. But you're right. If I get sick and die, and I don't think that's going to happen. I hope it doesn't happen. But I think it's a good debate. I think it's a really interesting debate. I don't know the right answer. I just know there are going to be people like, you're right. We are vested in pro sports. We make money off it. It helps our careers. There are going to be people who do not care about sports at all, who are like, yeah, these guys and gals, they are the healthiest people in this country.
Yep.
They're so healthy. They're making money off the fact that they're superhuman.
Yeah.
They wait. They go last.
Yeah, but around them are 60, the support staff has 50-some-odd-year-old people, 60-some-odd-year-old people, diabetic people. I mean, that for that industry to go, it's not just a traveling troupe of 53 super athletes. Andy Reid is 61 and overweight. Steve Spagnuolo, I'm talking about the Chiefs here. Steve Spagnuolo is over 60 years old. He looks like he runs marathons.
But Soren, I didn't mention the coaches and the staff. You're right.
The players.
They should be ahead of the athletes. And I've seen this a lot too. Bill Groner says Mahomes taking the vax will help others be comfortable with it. You know what? If you're not comfortable with it, I guess there are issues. Hey, maybe they rushed it to the market. But if you're an anti-vaxxer and you need Pat Mahomes to take the vaccine to convince you, sorry for the language, but fuck you. Change your mind on being anti-vaxxer. I'm pro-vaxxer. You're behind me. You fight the fight, pal. Keep going. You're a hero. Like all of a sudden, Pat Mahomes said, "Oh, you know what? I'm going to change my mind. Cofield, go behind me." Like, no, you didn't believe in it. You go behind me. See what I'm doing? I'm like setting up this fight here. I want my vaccine.
And I think that's the point. Is like there's you. First of all, you're taking on about half a dozen fights, right? I have the same kind of frustration with the politicians that said it's not real, don't worry about it, and then they're the first one up there to get the vaccine. I have a problem with that, absolutely. But that's not Patrick Mahomes, right? You got to which one do you want me to debate, right? Like for Mahomes, and athletes, and I think the support staff around the athletes, I'm for it because this country needs the entertainment, right? Particularly if you're going to ask someone to stay home, it's a lot easier to stay home if they got a ball game to watch. And stupid people are going to do stupid things. We can't legislate based upon, well, somebody's not going to play ball. They're never going to play ball, right? Anything you ever do will not go flawlessly. And so you have to just come up with the best plan you can and move forward. And so the non-vaxxers, then don't vax. But anyone we can get the vaccine, let's go. Because I would like to. I've got one of my good friends, Sean's in town from Baltimore.
Right. Oh yeah.
He's here seeing his brother, and I'd like to get together with him. And of course, his brother Arch is gutless. I'm like, hey, we come out, sit by the fire pit. Nah, it's too cold. So I would like to normally I would go get together with this guy. One of my good friends. Can't do it. So yeah, I'm fed up. I'm tired of it. But the old folks, the ill folks first. Then where does it come next? I think there's some value in entertainers being. I want to watch Saturday Night Live. I don't know if I like Saturday Night Live. I don't know if you saw their Zoom efforts, but they were shite. Yep. And I want Saturday Night Live vaccinated. Yeah. I want to watch Saturday Night Live. Devil's always in the details, Steve.
I do like this one. They should have a big screen TV there with a hookup to social media. That would be awesome. Right before, get you all excited. You're in the seat, and they're like, "I'm gonna check your social media for the last 6 months." Just scroll through. What is this? You're an anti-masker? Yeah. Get him out. Let's have henchmen come in, carry him out. Be great. You go to the back of the line. That all said, I could be the last freaking 2% to get it. I care, but I don't care that much. But I do think there are going to be people out there who are, it's going to get intense. If the distribution doesn't pick up, people are going to start getting pissed when they see people, why am I less than that person? So it's human nature.
Yeah. And it'll be politicized in the middle of it all. I was told today by a friend who works at Pfizer that I'm in the 7th wave.
Okay.
I called my doctor because I was supposed to have a physical. I'm like, listen, let's just roll that back. Let's just wait. Hopefully the vaccine comes around. So we'll roll the physical back to June. And I said, by the way, do you got any info for me? They're like, we haven't been told anything. Wow. This is like a practice with a bunch of doctors, right? It isn't like, some little hayseed, out in the middle of nowhere that, 20 people drive an hour to see the guy. This is like a big major medical conglomerate here in Kansas City, and they have been told nothing about the vaccine. Meanwhile, I got a sister-in-law who works at Children's Mercy, and she just got vaccinated today. Got the first shot today.
Oh, wow.
So tell me how, which I'm glad. I'm very happy.
Right.
It's a good thing. But my buddy's dad, who lives in an old folks home, got vaccinated today. So, it's starting, but it's not going the way we want. So, listen, Patrick Mahomes probably will get some people to take it, I would think, if you say, hey, this guy, he's, I don't know how many people, though, that are above the age of 18 are making their decisions based upon what other people do, regardless of who they are. But
yeah,
I digress.
You believe in relegation in sports?
Yes.
Okay. What about with the vaccine? You lose, you don't get vaccinated. Sorry, Jets.
I like it. By the way,
Adam Gase should be last in line. That's my official take.
Listen, he did everything he could to screw the Jets his entire time that he was there, including winging up last year to keep his job into this year. Right. Then, teasing you, putting you could see Trevor Lawrence, and then mucking that all up too.
I said it a couple of weeks ago. They should have fired the entire staff, and Frank Gore takes over. Players want to be coaches anyway. Give him a shot. You run the team. Frank Gore's running on the field. He's like, it's a play for me. Give me the ball. All right. You're the OC. Would have worked. What other comments we got?
What was he chirping as far as hey, I'll take it, Mark. What's his, he's not aware that he's going to get fired?
Well, I think how he is. How many coaches before their last game would throw up their hands and be like, yep, I know I'm getting fired. The Jets media, I think basically set him up, and they were like, "Hey, do you know you're getting fired?" I haven't heard anything about it. I mean, I don't know what to do in that situation. He's such a weirdo that it's going to come off as awkward.
I remember Romeo Crennel finishing up a 2-14 season and going into the last game, or maybe it was at the last game post-game press conference, and being asked, "Hey, do you think you're going to be back? Should you be back?" He said, "Well, if we're judging on the progress that the young players have made, then yes, I think I should be back. If it's on wins and losses, then no. Two wins aren't going to keep your job. But I think we've made a lot of progress this year that isn't shown in the record." Good answer. Sweetheart of a guy, not a head coach. Same thing with Adam Gase. I'm not sure Adam Gase is an assistant, is a decent coordinator even. I mean, how much money? Like, this is one where Andy Reid, we know, is not going to make his money off Patrick Mahomes, right? He's not going to make less, but he validated who he is before. He was part of the process of calling a shot. But How many people have made hundreds of millions of dollars off Peyton Manning, hundreds of millions of dollars off Tom Brady?
Yeah.
Right? And Adam Gase is like president of the club. Like, every nickel he has to his name. I don't even care if he had a good savings before he knew Peyton Manning, right? We know he would have lost that. He'd have screwed it up because we've seen how incompetent he is. So he'd have shit that away somewhere. Everything he has, he owes to Peyton Manning. Everything.
Matt Patricia should write a check worth about 90% of what he made with the Lions and just walk up, don't even say anything to Tom Brady, and just go, walk away. Brady will get it. I get it, Matt. You suck as a head coach. You're welcome.
I mean, listen, you make a case, now Matt Nagy's fighting for a playoff spot. I actually think Matt Nagy is a good coach. I think Matt Nagy's the classic, get the job because you're calling plays for the great quarterback, but then go and not have the great quarterback, and you see the difference. But he's not going 4-12, right? I think he's 6 or 7 or 8 games over 500, 3 years into his tenure with the Bears. So the bad years, he's a coach that's in the wash without a quarterback. Mm-hmm. Right, I call it in the wash, 6-10 to 10-6. All those teams are the same, right? What the schedule smiled on them, or they were healthy, or they were hurt, or the schedule frowned on them. They're all the same. He's in the wash, and when it goes well, he can fight for a playoff team. But there's only a handful of guys that are truly great without an elite quarterback.
And Nagy saved himself by running the ball. Hey, that's what we can do. Let's run it. So Montgomery was good the last 6 weeks. They started winning games, and we'll see what they can do against the Packers. He's got to work with Mitch Trubisky again, so we'll see how that turns out. One last thing on the vaccine. Good question from Brady, and this is for the room too. What would you pay? What's it worth right now to get the vaccine, say, tomorrow? But that means, like, your life mostly opens up. I don't know which vaccine you're getting if you have. Do you have to get a second with all of them? I know.
No, I think the Pfizer one is 2. I'm not sure that the Moderna one is, and there's another one that's coming that doesn't have to be refrigerated.
Okay.
And already has like millions sitting there. They're just waiting for the process to be cleared.
So to get some of the normalcy back in your life, if you get it tomorrow, what's it worth to you? $100, $200, $500, $1,000, $5, nothing?
And again, the devil's in the details because the normalcy's not there, right? Like, I'm still not clear on, okay, the vaccine keeps you from getting sick, but doesn't keep you from getting the virus, right? So you still have to wear a mask because you can give it to somebody else, even though you've got it. It's no, they're all 2? Okay, well, trust me, I'm no doctor, so I'll definitely take the room's word for that. The guy looks like he's had 4 McRibs. I know that guy, by the way, if anyone thinks I'm just being harsh. I lost my train of thought. Yeah, like if it's like, hey, I get it tomorrow and like I literally walk out, no mask, I go wherever, I do whatever, I don't have to worry about anything. Yeah, I'd pay a lot of money. But I don't think that's going to be the case.
Right. You could go to games and be like right up on the court, right up on the field. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. It'd be nice. It'd be nice just to go to Vegas to the Fantasy Football League. Like, my initial thought was normalcy will be back at the earliest for the Big 12 tournament here in Kansas City, which is a big deal when it's played here. I'm like, everything goes great. That's gone. Right?
You think?
Oh, yeah. No chance. No chance that there's fans in the stands for the conference tournament or the NCAA tournament. None.
Ooh.
No way. Or it's this, 12% crap, right? Yes, they'll go play in a dome and there'll be 18,000 people in an 80,000 seat dome. like we saw in Dallas, yes, perhaps we will have that. But like normal, real deal, no, we're not having that. My next up for me, as far as my travel schedule goes, so that means no Super Bowl. That means no spring training. That means we'll have no Big 12 tournament, no NCAA tournament, no Final Four, going to the Final Four. Next one for me is Tahoe in early July. That's where I was starting to think, okay, this is where it can work, is to go to the American Century Championships in Tahoe. But now I'm like, yeah, if the end of August we're in Vegas for the Fantasy Football League, I'll be thrilled. I'm starting to think that's up next on what's going to get canceled in my book.
Bill thinks by March the vaccine will be, I guess, all kinds of available, whatever, 4 kinds available, and normal will start emerging in the summer.
That's what I hear. So, but I mean, where's your level of confidence right now? If they can't, if they're only getting 10% of the doses that are available out there, there will be. So, Donovan, that's a good question. There will be a March Madness, and I'll quote Gary Parrish, my college basketball insider, because I asked him. I said, "Are we going to have the tournament?" He said, "Oh, we'll have the tournament. The tournament, no matter what, the tournament will be played. It has to be played. There are bills that have to be paid. So, in some way, shape, or form, there absolutely will be an NCAA tournament." That's what Gary Parrish told me after talking to people around the NCAA. There is no way that they will not play that tournament 2 years in a row. No chance whatsoever. Whether it's everybody in a bubble in one place, playing the whole thing NBA playoff style, I don't know how they could do that. Maybe in 2 or 3 or 4 places, but there will be an NCAA tournament. They can't exist without it.
Good. I hope that's the case.
Yeah, because Rutgers will actually be in it.
We'll see. Don't jinx it. It's early.
It's in the bag. It's in the bag, Steve.
It's early. Problem is the Big Ten's pretty good. It was good last year. It's even better this year. Like they're very. I wouldn't call anyone bad. There's no shit team in the conference. So
there's no K-State, Iowa State.
No. Notice how I'm banging the drum for the Big Ten. Love the Big Ten. Love the Big Ten. Now, actually, last year I thought it was a bit overrated. Actually, last year was funny. Scott Van Pelt likes to jump in on different tweets and stuff, which is cool. You know, the guy's a big timer and he makes himself accessible. But someone was arguing like the Big Ten deserved 10 teams, and I was like, it's ridiculous. The conference is overrated. Come on. I'm like, Rutgers hasn't won a game on the road, right? Scott Van Pelt jumps in and he starts lecturing me on Rutgers, and I was like, bro, come on. I'm like, I called the last NCAA game they played in, so buzz off. He's like, oh, I didn't realize. Like, just throw the bait out there.
Boy, so at least he was engaging you, and then he acknowledged. Oh, hey.
Yeah, he did, and then I apologized to him. I'm like, I kind of set you up there, so sorry about that.
Yeah,
but
you like Van Pelt?
Yeah, he's good. He's good. I don't watch his late night show.
I do.
I don't know. They're interesting. He and I like Russillo a lot. He and Russillo did a different kind of radio show. In terms of, I think it was one of those where they're like, "Hey, we're smarter than you, so we're gonna be smart asses all the time." But I also work with people like that in Adam Hill and Von Tobel, so
yeah,
doesn't bother me. I'm a regular man though. I'm a regular man. I don't want to denigrate the folks out there. You know just as much as me.
Have you ever talked to Van Pelt? You know,
I've talked to both of them for a couple minutes face to face. I think I freaked out because I have. One, I don't care. I have respect for people, but I'm also like, if you sit down and talk to me, I'm just going to talk to you like, you're anybody else. But I think I freaked out Russillo because Russillo had this weird thing that went down back when he started in Boston. He was out drunk. He started hitting on. He didn't realize it was this guy John Dennis's daughter, and started shitting all over John Dennis, who was on the big station in town. And Russillo was an up and comer. I guess the daughter went back to John Dennis. John Dennis then calls Russillo and tells him he's going to rip his fucking head off and stuff his balls down his neck. Well, John Dennis, as it turned out, was just he was a heavy drinker. He was an alcoholic. So I think John Dennis was probably drinking at the time, made this call, but it was kind of legendary on the Deadspin zone back in 2008. And we love shit like that. Hey, you got radio guys going at it, and like within like a couple of minutes of meeting Russillo, and we had him on to do an interview at like a big boxing event in Tampa. He was on the road with actually John Anik, and I was like, hey, how about that fight with John Dennis? And his face just went white because I'm sure he didn't want that to be out there. And I was like, hey, whatever, no big deal, man. You fight. The guy threatened you on the phone. He's 25 years older than you. And I told him, like, you're all jacked up. You'd kick his ass. It's a big deal.
Russillo was my guy in Boston for the 2-minute drill for a long time when he was just working in Boston. And so, we always talk to him. People don't know Russillo's, he spends a little time in the weight room. So the guy was barking up the wrong tree when he was going up there. But my point about Van Pelt's, he's another guy. Like I'd say, like Ketz, man. Like he's a super guy to talk to. I've seen him at, I don't know if it's Super Bowls or Final Fours, but a couple times bumped into him in a bar and just sat there and he'll chat it up. And I actually felt like I even told him, I'm like, hey, dude, I'm not trying to fanboy you or occupy your night or whatever. I just want to say hi and appreciate your work. And he's like, no, it's good. Like, so what's going on in Kansas City? And I was like, well, so then I invited him, to come stay at my house, and it got kind of weird and everything. No, I'm just kidding. No, I just chatted with him for a little bit about Kansas City, and I was like, hey, I was impressed with how he carried himself and how he was talking to people. There were other people that would recognize him. I think it was at a Madden party at a Super Bowl in Miami. That somehow we ran into the right people and got into because I wasn't in there because I was media. That's for damn sure. But whatever, super guy to talk to, So, and I like the show. So.
Yeah, that's good.
And he jumped on me. Well, he got into a conversation me and Eric Eager from Pro Football Focus were having on Twitter, and he fired out because we were talking about one of his guys, the guy from Football Outsiders. Wow, shit. His name
is Aaron Schatz.
Yeah, is that who it is?
I don't know.
He's kind of a big guy.
That's the guy I know from Football Outsiders.
Yeah, it wasn't him. God bless. He's at ESPN, but he also does. Anyway, and we were talking about it, and we were talking about something that he had said on Van Pelt's show. And so Van Pelt saw it, and I don't know if his handle was on the mix or whatever, but he jumped into it. He's like, well, so what did he say wrong? And I'm like, he didn't say anything. It was about Chris Jones. And he was talking about how the Chiefs grade higher defensively with Chris Jones off the field than they do on the field. And so Kansas City people are all abuzz. I think he's kind of smart. He looks at where's there a big kind of thing going on?
Right.
And jumps into it and promotes the show and, gets exposure that way. I think he's smart about it. And it's respectful. He's not like, you dumbasses don't get what's going on,
There are some personalities, big ones out there who would do that. There are. Especially if you get in an argument with them, they're gonna
like Cofield per se.
Well, no. There are people out there who, if you do go back at them, they're not used to having anyone go back at them, so then they get all pissy. And so, actually, did your boy just finally shut up after there was a little back and forth? Dockich, what was that whole deal last year where Dockich tried to jump in and I don't know.
Well, no, I actually jumped in on Dockich to be
you did?
About my dust up with him.
Yeah.
Dan Dockich, right? Like, let's just say, he was firing on a guy who had just moved, he'd come to work with us. Him, Jason Anderson.
Right. There was is this the whole Louisville thing with Brom?
I don't know. Well, no, there was something that happened down there back in the day when he was down in Louisville. Obviously, Louisville, a big college basketball town, so Dockich is a bigger thing there than he is in a lot of other places. There are probably a lot of people like, who the hell is Dockich? Who's Dan Dockich? Exactly, right? But there was something that happened, and he always held this grudge against Jason, who's, nice, harmless guy, good guy.
Yep.
Not out to get anybody. I think does things the right way in this business, doesn't screw people over in the industry, isn't stabbing people in the back behind him, does his homework, tries to be on top of things, isn't out there just, starting shit storms. And so, for whatever reason, and I've heard from people, around Indianapolis and ESPN that this guy's a world-class jackass. And so he comes firing at Anderson and, taking shots like, oh, you had to leave town or whatever. And it's like, he doesn't even know that Jason's actually from here, and so it was a good deal. He got a good deal to come here. It was definitely a step up for Jason, right? And Jason's like, yeah, I'm getting, I'm like, what is this? Like, what's going on with this? And he's like, oh, he just does it. He goes, I just ignore it. I'm like, well, what? Screw you. I'm not going to ignore it. So I just quote tweeted him.
Screw you.
Well, I'm like, because
I know
he's doing the right thing, right? Like you don't want to lend credibility to a. And if you fire back, it's like, oh, you can't take it, or then it becomes a shitstorm, and that's what he wants. He wants a back and forth bullshit session. And so I'm like, listen, somebody needs to stick up for Jason, right? Because this is bullshit. So I just quote tweeted and I said, I guess now I understand why everyone I've ever talked to that works with you can't stand you,
Oh,
or thinks you're a complete jackass, or whatever it was, something like that.
this was dynamite because there's no doubt in my mind that he then texted like at least 20 of his coworkers.
Well, first he tweeted back at me.
And told them to get in the fight on his behalf.
Yeah, he tweeted back at me like 20 times. And I'm just like, radio silence. Like, right? That's like, hey, I made my point. I pissed you off. Yep. I pissed you off. And like, that's it. That's like, mission accomplished, right? I fired one thing out. And of course, everybody started firing things. And I just like, that's it, man. It's one shot. I'm done. Mic drop and I'm out. Right. And he kept going. And it was like the next night, I'm taking my kid and her friend to Dude Perfect's world tour, right, of the country. And we're at the arena watching the arena show of Dude Perfect, right? Because my daughter and her friend love Dude Perfect. And I'm looking at my Twitter, and he is still firing at me like the next night. And you're right. He did one of the things he did was like, he went out and he tagged like everyone he knew that was like a name. Oh, they'll all stand up for me. And then like one by one, like I would say one of the guys who didn't was Mike Tirico. He tagged Mike Tirico on it and tried to get all these big names. And a couple of guys on the lower level of the list of names he had tagged, like, oh, Dan's a great guy. I love working with him. I'm like, all right. Well, I'm clearly not going to give you the list of people who told me he's a jackass, but I never responded. But my response to that would be, but I'll stand by my comments.
Right.
Like I don't make shit up. You take a look at my tweets and see if you see me doing hatchet jobs on people, trying to get my name out there and jump into the middle of some shit. That ain't how I do things. But I ain't making anything up.
I tell you, it's a game he's playing. He's also playing he's in the media, but he's anti-media. So, funny thing is, last week we have a former college basketball coach as one of our basketball insiders. He's coaching high school now down in Arizona. Guy named Joe Esposito, Saint. I mean, the guy's great. He knows everybody. He's gotten us all these great guests. And I see him on Twitter middle of last week, and he tags Dockich, and he's like, "Yeah, I want to get you on the show, and come on in." And I texted him. I'm like, "Yeah, he ain't coming on. Sorry, Joe." I was like, his anti-media bit, I'm not down with it, so sorry. He was like, okay, I understand. It wasn't a big deal, but I'm like, that fucking guy ain't coming on. I'm not playing this game. He's a clown. And I really do take that anti-media stuff. He thinks it's a game. It ain't a game, asshole.
He's not good on the broadcast. How about that part of it? Like ESPN does, I know it's like, it's easy, whoever the big giant is media-wise, it's easy to bash him. I think ESPN's an incredible, success story, right? And they do a lot of things, right? They do some things that I think like that sucks, and why are you doing this? I'm not saying they're infallible or perfect, but I think ESPN does a lot, right? ESPN is on my house a lot.
Uh-huh.
But how there are some like Bob Knight doing color was an absolute
it's the dumbest thing ever, yeah.
It was awful. It was the worst.
Plus,
particularly when it was in no offense to Brent Musburger, who's one of the iconic broadcasts of all time, but Musburger and Knight together, it was just like there was no checks. Like at least like whether you like Bill Walton or not, ESPN understands we got to put somebody with them who can deal with this is going to be a runaway freight train.
Uh-huh.
And whether it's, our buddy Roxy Bernstein, who does a lot of the games once they get in season, we'll do a lot of games with him. Roxy's great. Roxy understands. Listen, you just got to go with it. Just ride it. It's a bucking bronco. You just hold on with one hand, let the other hand fly around.
Yep.
While he bucks around, and
it's the same. What's his name? Dave Pash is the regular with him. He's gotten it eventually. He does it.
And who's the White Sox announcer?
Benetti. Yeah. And Dan Schulman has to do the same thing with Dick Vitale, and it's like that's part of being a pro. I'll say this because I don't want to talk about this guy anymore because this is what he wants, and I'm sure he has some fucking radar that he knows we're talking about him. Because that's the other thing. He's one of those weird media guys who has his name in a search. So he like you don't even tag him, and I don't talk about him, but you don't even tag him, and you're like, okay, what is going on here? This guy's like stalking me. He's weird like that. I actually think he's good on the games, and I listened to his radio show one day, and Benetti was on, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I could see this being relatable to listeners. I thought it was pretty good. Now they started doing Jersey accents, so I tweeted at him, and I was like, your Jersey accents suck, and he just sent back meh, and that was it. So I actually think he's a talented guy. I just think his bit is dangerous. it's stupid. So I don't want to be part of that. But I don't think he's bad on the games. I actually think he's one of their better guys.
Yeah, well,
at least in the Big Ten, he knows the players. He knows the background. Like, he's good on Big Ten games.
Maybe I will freely admit that there is a dislike, and so I may not be clear of judgment, but I will not watch a game he calls. There's a million college basketball games on every night. I will not watch that game.
And by the way, Carvelli, Joe Esposito is awesome because he's an energetic guy and he knows lots of people and he'll go after people. He's a good college basketball analyst. I agree, and I'll send that on to Joe.
Are not almost all of the best guests the guys that aren't the biggest names?
Yeah, I mean, in this case, he's been on 4 or 5 Division I staffs. He was a head coach at lower levels. Yeah, there's no ego. He's not a huge
name, but his insight is phenomenal.
Yep.
Right? Like I know I mention them a lot because they're good guys, and I think they do a really good job. But the PFF guys, Eric Eager and George Cheruri, those guys. What people don't understand is they meet. Like PFF has their moneymaker is their subscriptions to teams and the analytics that they do for teams. They meet with high level people in the NFL. Now they do an incredible job of separating that from the media part. But like when they come on and talk about, well, this team, this flaw, that flaw, like they are as wired in as anybody out there. I mean, and those guys, like they're not the biggest name, right? Like, their information is unreal. Billy Donlin is the coach of UMKC. He does a segment on our morning show, and I've talked to him a couple of different times. Love the guy. Peach of a guy, super knowledgeable basketball, and he will go on our morning show. And like UMKC is not a big deal around here, right? KU, K-State, Missouri, way bigger. But it's kind of the program that everyone's like, hey, we'd really like to see this program be good. Mm-hmm. It's never made the NCAA tournament. We want to see it get there. A lot of people, get degrees at UMKC, because it's the college right here in town. He is so knowledgeable about basketball, former coach at Wright State, and doing a really good job turning UMKC around. And he comes on and talks basketball with the guys in the morning show. Like he'll break down the NBA playoffs. It's outstanding stuff. It's great. I mean, he's a great guest. And whenever he's on, I'm like, okay, I'm going to listen to this whole thing. Like those guys, they're guys that do it that are phenomenal. And, so absolutely, people with life experience can break some things down a lot better than somebody who's got a name and a shtick.
So I made a bet today in football. Super Bowl future. I took the NFC plus 3.5.
Yeah, that's ass.
Don't at me. I'm kidding. I
do like that.
Stupid shit that people put on Twitter. Don't
at me.
Here's my opinion. Don't at me. Mayonnaise sucks balls. Don't at me.
I can't help you with that either.
It's a terrible bet. NFC plus 3.5. Why?
Because in all likelihood, you have no idea who's going to come out from the NFC, right?
I don't, but I know.
You feel confident it's Green Bay.
I know the Chiefs aren't coming out of the AFC, so I have a fighting chance.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, if you believe that, then I like your bet. Yeah. Because I think a Saints, Saints or Packers or even Seahawks, if they've gotten there, if they've won 3 playoff games to get there, they're clearly on a roll. And they've clearly cleaned up a lot of their defensive issues if they're there in the Super Bowl. And if they're facing Josh Allen and the Bills, then, you're going to be laying points. And here you're getting them with it. But I think that there's a reason why the 5 most likely Super Bowls all have the Kansas City Chiefs in it. Because even though, like, there's 8 teams that have 10 wins or more in the AFC? Already or something like that? Or was it two? I mean, before last week, there were 8 teams that already had 10 wins, I think.
That's 8. There's 8 teams fighting for 7 spots. So Colts could be out with 10 or 11 wins.
Yeah. And so, but I think the reality is those teams in the second tier, I think are a little bit overrated. I think they're overrated because the Jets are pumping, victories at everybody. There's a lower end that I do think that the Chiefs are a whole nother level. Now, I may be eating those words if they take a first round gas pipe or second round, whatever it is, the divisional round, because they've won 7 consecutive games by 6 points or less. They've won 10 in a row overall. But it does look like, are they playing with fire, or are they just going through the motions, taking care of business to get to where it really matters? I think they're just taking care of business to get to where it really matters.
Right. Sorry.
Why don't you think the Chiefs are coming out?
because I don't like the way they close the season, and I do believe they're playing with fire, and I'm not confident that game after game, if they let off the gas pedal, that they can just flip the switch. And here's the other thing: I'm getting an NFC team plus 3.5. So if it's non-Chiefs, I feel good. Even if it's Chiefs against the Packers or the Saints, I still feel okay.
You can feel okay, but the number you will get in that scenario, if the Chiefs have won 2 games, you're sitting there holding a ticket plus 3.5. When on game day you would have gotten 7.5. So you can sit there and act like
you think the Chiefs. You think the Chiefs will be laying 7.5 in the Super Bowl, and is that assuming that the Chiefs have gone through the AFC playoffs like pretty much unscathed and just blew the doors off a couple of teams?
I think the best case scenario for Chiefs bettors is, whatever happens this week with Chad Henne going, then win by 3, and I will love the Chiefs laying any number. Now you're looking obviously at a guy who has 5 consecutive weeks thrown away a game on the Chiefs, minus big numbers, because I keep waiting for them to unleash the fury. But I'm now convinced that this is just, first of all, until this past week, the only game that they weren't up double digits in the second half on was going back to the Raiders that they had to rally in that stretch.
Right.
Otherwise, the games have been in hand. And when given the ball back with 4 minutes to go, now up by only 1 score, they have ended up in victory formation every time. So they've never, if you can't stop them when they put their mind to it, and to me, that's a sign that when they put their mind to it, they're not a team that just got lucky to be up in front. When there's 4 minutes to go and you've got to do everything to stop the first down and they still get the first downs and then end up in victory formation, that to me is a sign that they know what they need to do to win that day and they're moving on.
CJ Cards fan asked this one. Do you like Mahomes having 2 weeks of rest? You think the rest this week might be a big deal?
Well, I want to hear your perspective because I've talked about it for 2 weeks, right? It's already been a conversation for 2 weeks. I'm off this week on the radio show, but we've been discussing it and it's going on now. If I wasn't doing all my home projects, right, I would have heard more this week. But you tell me, what's your opinion of whether or not you play Mahomes, your first unit? Because this is unique in the sense that they're the only team that's going to get a bye week, and it's basically going to be, if Mahomes doesn't play, 3 weeks in between games for him.
I wouldn't play him. I wouldn't risk the injury. I wouldn't risk the injury to any of the star players, and I don't think a rest is a terrible thing. And I think they'll come out in their first game, and they're not going to flop because of rust. So I don't worry about that.
So here's the fear. The fear is, like, Peyton Manning had a number of these situations and then crapped the bed, where they rested him late and then they had the bye and then they came out and they didn't play well. I think the difference is, I tend to agree with you, keep everybody healthy. Now, the fan of me wants Mahomes to go get 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns, which are easy gets for him. Wants Travis Kelce to take a run at breaking Zach. He's already got the yardage record for tight ends. Wants him to take a run at leading the league, being the first tight end to lead the league in yards. Passing Zach Ertz receptions record for a tight end. Like, I want to see all those things happen, right? So the numbers, sport, history nerd in me wants to see them play for the records. Reality is, if I were in the organization, they sit. They don't play. Because I think the problem with the Colts, and one of the problems why Peyton Manning only had 1 Super Bowl with the Colts, is I think Tony Dungy's grossly overrated as a coach. And the guy who's coaching the Kansas City Chiefs has been grossly underrated throughout his career, and is just now beginning to get his due. Now that he's married to his Hall of Fame quarterback, he's kicking everybody's ass. And I think where the Colts were accused of being rusty or flat after doing that, the Chiefs are going to be called rested, because Andy Reid will have a game plan and the team will be ready to go. I also think that the Chiefs have 2 young players on their defense that are ascending players, and Willie Gay Jr., their second-round pick, they finally had to play him, and he makes a big difference. And we saw that the Falcon game wasn't pretty from an offensive perspective. It was probably, to be honest with you, I think it was Patrick Mahomes' worst game. Worse than his Jacksonville game where he had no touchdowns and 2 INTs a couple years ago where they won by 3 scores. But he was off all over the place. And the defense had to dig in against a Hall of Fame quarterback and a really good wideout in Calvin Ridley, and a decent game plan, and a highly invested in offensive line, and held them to what was it, 14 points, 17-14 final?
Yep.
And the defense had to do it. And Willie Gay Jr. and L'Jarius Sneed are no joke. And that's one of the reasons I like this team is like you don't know those names because they weren't first round guys. But Willie Gay Jr. is like if he was a boxer, you'd call him heavy handed. Like he delivers a blow when he arrives. He's got coverage skills. It was about knowing the defense. L'Jarius Sneed is the 14th rated corner on Pro Football Focus as a 4th round pick. And nobody knows his name because they bounce him between corner and safety at Louisiana Tech. But he's 5'11 and a half, 6 feet tall, 192 pounds, super long wingspan, and he runs a 4.38 40. Why he was there in the 4th round, I don't know. But the guy's no joke. And they got 4 corners that rank in the top 44. So, I mean, come and get it. I mean, let's go. I'll be happy to make any wager you want, Steve, about the Chiefs.
Any argument about a week off and not being ready? This is the counter. So he's done it for years. Andy Reid has done it for years. Bye weeks, are his teams ready? Always.
Yeah.
Almost always.
Almost always, yeah. No, I think so. You can make the case. Now, they had to fight for 16 weeks because they were thinking they weren't going to get a bye week last year. And then the Patriots gas piped it against the Dolphins, and that got them to the number 2 seed. Baltimore had the 1 locked up. And so they had to play for 16 weeks. They had a bye week, but they had to play that 16th game with anger. And, this time they're going to play the 16th game without anger and have a bye week. So it is a little bit different. And I think there's a reason to worry about it, but I think the health and making sure you've got the big boys is it. You can make a case that after a bye week that they were rusty at least for a quarter against the Houston Texans. They were down 24-0 after 1, after sitting for a week. So there's reason to be, at least apprehensive. And I think it's good to be apprehensive. It's good to be cautious, right? Like, you coach Little League sports, right? I'm nervous every time we go play a game. If you're not like a little bit on edge, then you don't know what the hell you're doing. And trust me, Andy Reid's on edge every freaking game.
Brady asks if I'm excited for my steak dinner with my Clyde Edwards-Helaire bet. Yes, I am. Yes, that was an easy win. I played the value, and I made out. Folks who didn't know about or don't know about the bet, one of Soren's friends, one of my friends, we do fantasy football with him, fantasy baseball. Sean, who's a KC guy, said that Clyde Edwards-Helaire was going to have a big year. I put the number at 1,700 total yards. I would have bet it at 1,600. Right now he's at exactly 1,200, so I win.
Yeah, I in retrospect,
Under.
I said I should have because I talked. It was the number that Kareem Hunt had his rookie year, which was like 1,780 something. I talked it down to 1,700. I should have done a better job of talking that down to 1,500, which you still would have won and which still would have been a good bet because the Vegas number was 1,050 from scrimmage. He went over the Vegas yards from scrimmage number.
Yeah, he did.
I think it was like 1,050, or maybe it was even 950 or something.
I think I got him going because I started mocking on people who had.
No, you mocked him for spending $91 on him.
Well, I was mocking because there were a lot of people who said he was a top 5 running back and maybe top 3 in fantasy, and I'm like, cut it out. Yeah, the odds are against. It's like he might do it, but the odds are against him. He's a rookie. You're
right.
And I think Adam Hill cemented the bet for me because Adam talked about the importance of blocking on 3rd down for Pat Mahomes, and if you're not a great blocker, then there's a chance you're not going to be on the field and you're not going to get all those targets to do what I don't expect him to be Alvin Kamara, but he's not. You're not going to get 60 catches for 660 yards if you're not on the field a lot on 3rd down.
Yeah, Kareem Hunt had an incredible rushing run. The thing that really bode well for you was that it's Patrick Mahomes at quarterback and not Alex Smith. And Patrick Mahomes doesn't need to take the check down.
Yeah.
I mean, that seriously, that's what
that does change things. You're right, Alex. Especially now, Alex Smith would dump it off to him 125 times.
Sean said to me, he goes, "What do you think about that bet?" He goes, "I probably made a mistake, right?" I go, "Oh, you definitely made a mistake." I tried to get you a few yards when you were willing to go like 1780 something or whatever Kareem Hunt had that rookie year. But I said, no, you're. I said, listen, it could happen, but you goaded him into it because he had spent like $91, the most expensive player in the Vegas auction.
Right.
And then we did the auction on this one, and he went like 78 or 9 or 80 or something like that. And so, the shit talk began.
Well, I would have bet it at 1,400. Sean's the kind of guy, like when Sean drafts fantasy football, especially in auctions, For some reason, he doesn't play possum at all. And
No.
you know when he's on a guy and he's just like 68, 70, 72, 74. Like, dude.
There's no
Like,
waiting. No waiting for like going once, going twice. No,
there he is.
Firing.
Okay, now look, there he is.
Somebody told him, hey, they're shitting on you. You better get on there.
Oh boy, I was just looking up. I think because I was checking out steak prices. Where the hell was I looking? There was somewhere on the strip. No, it was actually there's a new place at Circa, and their prices are a little bit up there. New steak place. Circa's at the opposite end of Fremont from Triple George, and I was looking at the tomahawk steak, and Triple George or the place at Circa has it for 85, and Triple George is 70. So might have to get me a tomahawk with some eggnog.
Remember, isn't there part of the bet also is a commitment to be in credit card roulette? And if Sean loses credit card roulette, he doesn't have to buy your steak. Right? That becomes the payoff. That was part of the stipulation, as I recall.
Well, yeah. I tried to do it where the next
level, like he's got to pay that and then buy you another one.
The next level of the bet was not only do you lose individually to each other, but if the opposite person lost credit card roulette, you have to cover that too. Which I guess it would only apply to Sean since I won the bet. So Sean would have.
If you lost credit card roulette, Sean would have to pay.
He would have to cover the whole table, but we're not gonna. I don't think I officially cemented that. So,
okay.
And the way I just explained it here to the audience, who the fuck would know what I was saying? So I confused everyone. Mr. G, are you sure you want our picks? Are you sure? Sure.
I don't even know. Listen, it's gotten so bad. I don't even know what we did last week.
We went 3-2.
By the way, we went what?
We went 3-2.
Yeah, well,
but it was all the back end stuff. We got the Bills. That was an easy blowout. So
we were fine. We're all right. It wasn't our year. I lost last week in my suicide pool too. 979,000.
Mr. G's trying to force the action here. First, he wants the football picks. Now he's asking. Now he wants to have a steak conversation.
Well done is not a crime in my book. I'll tell you that.
It is a crime.
No pink. No pink. That's what I want. No pink.
Yeah.
He's wrong. I'm not a big steak guy. It's fine. Okay, it's a crime. Then I'll get something else. I usually don't get steak. When we go out, I usually don't get steak.
You're going to get the pasta?
Because I'm a career fatty, so I'm constantly on a low carb deal. So then if I go to Vegas, I'm like, okay, let's get some carbs.
Yeah, producer Ari is also a well done guy. So
there you go.
But he's also anti-bacon.
Can I ask a question? Why do people who like rare steaks give a shit about how I get my steak? Why do you? I don't care that you get it rare. Why do you people have such a stick up your ass about I get it well done? What is that problem?
You're insulting me.
Really?
I'm better than you. It is ridiculous.
It's just like, I have a different opinion. Well, you're shit.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I'm not the chef. So I'm not going to take it personal. If you want to, I think it's ruining the steak, but I didn't cook it. So you're not forcing me to char the steak. So even the chef, just fucking make it the way people want it. What do you care? Right? They're paying for it. They get to eat it, whatever. And if they want to put ketchup on it, if Pat Mahomes wants to dump ketchup on everything, then let him do it. He's paying for the food.
I honestly, I like steak sauce with a steak, or I don't really want a steak. Now I will tell you, I had is it Delmonico's in Dallas? It was down there for the Super Bowl, the Ice Storm Super Bowl down in Dallas. I don't even remember who played in it now, but was down there and we went to eat. I think, is it Delmonico's? I think it's Delmonico. Or is Delmonico's in Vegas?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so they had a great steak there.
Yeah. It's really
that
good.
Was great. There, and there's a place in Dallas. God, what's it called? You walk in and you're like, oh, this is a great steak. They've got some jerseys in the bar, which isn't usually what you see in the steakhouse. They got like an Earl Campbell jersey and a Tony Dorsett and Emmitt Smith and fancy place though. You can tell it's highfalutin money Dallas people. And then you go that was I think the best steak I've ever had.
Really?
I literally took the knife and just the weight of the knife going like this, took it down through the steak.
Oh, wow.
I can't remember what the hell it was called. I'd call my boss, but he's asleep. He's the one who took us there. He knows all the fancy places to eat.
Does that piss people in Kansas City off that that's the best steak you've had?
It shouldn't, because there may be 10 places that have better steak in Kansas City. I'm not a steak guy. So when I'm home, I don't go get steak. You know? But when I go out with my boss, he loves steak. He loves seafood. And he knows that, like, I'm white trash when it comes to dining. Right? And so it is his mission to try to bring me along. So, like, when I go out with him, he's like, all right, we're going to do this seafood thing here. And I'm like, all right, let's give it a go. Like, as he knows what he's doing. So I will roll with him and let him, like, we went, I think there was a place it was in Tahoe where we had seafood. He got, like the seafood tower.
Oh,
right?
God.
And I'm like, okay, man, let's do it. And so, like, if I'm with somebody who knows what they're doing, I'll try anything. Right? You tell me, hey, this steak, this is what you got to have. You got to do it. I'll give it a go. Right? And I'm not saying, like, I'm going to spit out a rare steak. If it's too rare, I will. But,
Wait, Ari, you went to Delmonico's? What?
Delmonico's is really good.
What good portion of life? When was that happening?
What's a place in Dallas? I'll find that.
That's amazing. Good for you. You don't get the high-end burger at the steakhouse, do you?
Oh, I have no. I would. Sure, I have. Yeah.
But these guys are really laying it
Del
out here.
Frisco's? Does that sound right? Del Frisco's?
Yeah.
Here, I'm looking at a place, the 11 best steakhouses in Dallas. And good service, good folks. So I'd love to give them some props here. No.
By the way, does this really happen? I'm not a behind the scenes restaurant guy. I'll have to ask folks I know.
Here it is, Albernays. You ever been to Albernays?
No.
A-L, new word, B-I-E-R-N-A-T. Albernays.
Okay.
Popular special occasion spot is known for its extensive menu of steaks sourced from Texas farms, Japan, and beyond. Indulge in Japanese A5 Kobe beef that's served by the ounce, or classic cowboy cut ribeye paired with cream spinach, mushrooms, risotto, and roasted Brussels sprouts. Albernays. I'll give it the thumbs up.
Nice.
They can send the check whenever they want. It's good eats. Next time I'm there, I'm going.
Is Mark right? Do chefs in the kitchen pick a shitty cut of meat? You're like, hey, you want it well done? All right, let's give him this piece of crap.
Is that right? Well, probably. I mean, I get it.
I don't know.
I get it.
I kind of hope that's the case, but nothing against you.
Yeah. I get it. You're a selfish prick.
Steak sauce attack on you. A1 sucks. I like A1, but I throw A1 on. I throw A1 on everything else, not a steak, unless I fuck up a steak at home, which I did last week. So
stunning. You making a mistake?
That I effed it up? Well, me making a mistake. It's stunning. Every day. No, it's the meat up steaks. They're very good, but I overcooked it. I was like, this is a nightmare. I got to sauce this up. Idiot. Here you go. Now you're getting all the lectures. The steak natural juice is the best sauce. Get it together. Best steaks I've ever had. I actually went to Craft Steak here in town, which is at the MGM. It's I think that's a Colicchio place, Tom Colicchio. Hold on.
CJ put that up. That's great.
Where is it? Oh, I know. Ari spelled Domino's wrong. That's good. Delmonico's Domino's. But I went to Craft Steak and we got the tasting menu. It was like, it was a family style. They just brought out steak, like every freaking steak they make, and just plate after plate after plate of steak. It was like $130, and it was awesome. Now I will say, I do think one thing contributed to the whole deal. It was when I was working with Yahoo, and the boss paid for the entire meal.
Always tastes better, doesn't it?
God, it was delicious.
Always tastes better.
And I was getting embarrassed because I'm like, people are like, they brought out so much food, their sides, their steak, and I'm just like, I'm gonna keep going. This is like my 7th, 8th, 9th try. I'm like, you guys gonna leave this? Like, I'm eating it. So I'm sure they're like, well, look at this fat fuck.
No, I listen, trust me, and I know, and our boss is really good. Like when we go to the Super Bowl and you're there from like, you're on Radio Row from like 8 a.m. to like 7:30 p.m. and you're constantly working and everything. And like I always do appreciate when he's like, all right, we're going to a really nice place and have a great meal. So most of you ever dropped on a meal?
It's got to be a lot more for Petro than me.
Why? You're the big steak guy. I've got an answer for you.
But I can counter.
It probably is, and it probably is a lot more for me. And when I tell you the story, you'll understand why.
But I can also counter. Mine would never be higher because it also includes the drinks, and I don't drink hard alcohol, so I'm never going to go to a place where my beer is more than like 10.
Right.
Now, if the girlfriend starts getting shots for the table, but she's not going to do that. So I have no shot of going like crazy. So maybe. For two of us, maybe $300, including a tip, maybe, and that's pretty high. Probably $250.
Is it just my cost or the cost are we just talking about like a couple, or are we talking about the whole table, or?
Well, yeah, he has per person or total. I mean,
because I've done like back when we could actually go to restaurants,
what
not have masks and everything. Like I used to do a dinner for the show, right, and I would get that check. But like for two, like say a couple, right? That's what we're really talking about. You're measuring like not having like a work function,
right?
That you're going to write off later anyway, right?
Yes. Yes.
Does on your wedding count? On your honeymoon, I mean?
No. Oh, on the honeymoon? Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. Why not?
So we went to Anguilla for our honeymoon. Don't ask me where it is. Someplace down in the Caribbean. You have to fly into like St. Martin, and then you take a boat over, unless you're like rich, and then you fly your jet onto Anguilla, but it only has like it's a little bitty island. Like I think it's St. Martin. What's the everyone shows the jets that look like they're going to land on the beach, and they go right over that beach and land. You land at that airport, whatever that is.
All right.
And then you take a boat over. That was where we went for our honeymoon. And there's a handful of restaurants, and they're nice. And of course, because this is a tiny little island that has to import everything. Everything's super expensive. So that was number one, right? It's a racket, right? You like an omelet is like $22, right? Yeah. Although, which I don't get because there's wild chickens running all over this freaking island, right? Like they're everywhere. That like the egg should be like freaking $1, right? But so we went to a fancy there's a number of different fancy restaurants. Fancy restaurant on the beach. It was great for honeymoon. Got to watch a cruise ship sail away in the night, with the lights all lit up and watch it go away. Really good night. And then they had a $500 a shot whiskey. And so the dinner, I want to say, was probably $300 or $400, right? Because I was like, whatever it is, this was our night, like the best of the best. We went to a Mexican place that was expensive, like it was over $100 just to get the Mexican food, but it's like a nice Mexican food, nice view and all that. So it was really good. It was like 150 or 60, but everything was ridiculous on this thing. I mean, I remember being like, I need a loan. Like I thought I was done paying for shit. And then I went on this freaking honeymoon, and then the food cost a fortune. But I was like, all right, this is the night. Like, we're going to do it up. Whatever it is. I want the best of everything. I told my wife, I said, we're getting the best of everything. Whatever the best steak is, whatever the best everything is. And I'm like, oh, do you want one of these? She's like, God, no, I'm not drinking that shit. I'm like, well, let me have it. And I wasn't a whiskey drinker back then. And so I'm like, well, let me have it. Give me this $500 shot. Put it on the rocks. And I sipped it. So like everything, I think the whole deal, it was well over $1,000. And it was absolutely not worth it.
Yeah, I was gonna say
absolutely not worth it.
As you're drinking the whiskey, are you like you're trying to just this is great. Oh
no, eating the steak and all that. Like the view was great, the memory is great. The memory is that I did what a shit heel newlywed tourist should do. Just shit money right out your ass. That's exactly what I did. Right? I mean, it was a great dinner. We had fun. We laughed about it, knock on wood. I had the money to pay for it. I mean, so because I'd been saving for the honeymoon and here we go. But like after the fact, like right now, if my daughter's like, Dad, it's my honeymoon, what should I do? Should I get a super expensive meal with everything? Like, no, don't, because you'll be like, it'll let you down.
I think unless you're like super rich and it's just, hey, that's part of life. I think buying something that expensive also, it sticks in your mind as you're eating the meal, right? And you're like, Like, I thought this was gonna be a lot better. Like, good, but you know.
Well, like when you put that price tag on, you're like, wow, this is going to be an orgasmic,
Right.
experience. I'm going to take a bite and be like, oh, yeah, no, that's not how it works.
We have some good comments. So Pickle Gamer says, I'm learning so much about Steve from the stream. Former ticket writer at a sportsbook, worked at Yahoo. Yeah, I mean, Yahoo wasn't that long ago. It was like 2000. I don't know when it was. 2000.
That was your MMA column, right?
Yeah, it was like 2007. We did the blog 2007 to like 2012. I was the one of the MMA guys. Let's see. Steak at Top of the World at Strat is on my top 5 list. You know what's crazy? I've been in Vegas since '96. I've never eaten at the top of the Strat.
I've ridden the Big Shot up there way back in the day. That was a bad decision.
I got to try that.
I did it to impress a chick. Didn't work out.
Deniston's right about. Yeah, that would be the most expensive meal if I actually had to treat one of these things for $600, $700, $800. You know what I did? I do remember I did.
He has the record for the most
2 or 3
expensive credit card roulette.
Oh, the most expensive? How much was it? Like over 900, 800?
Didn't he? I mean, JD tell me it wasn't like over $700. He got crushed. And he handled it like a champ. I mean, he was like, well.
What is this one? Most expensive meal is the one ESPN 1100 gave. 250 Nob Hill Grill at MGM in 2011. Did we give away a meal at that place? He'll explain that in a second.
800. He said $800.
Oh wow.
That's another reason to get this vaccine, because like I usually go to LA every year. I have to go to LA in the summer every year, and I've been the last 2 years I've been planning on that's where it was.
Wait, how did that happen?
Because I don't know if you weren't with us. We didn't have a hookup or what, but he got crushed there. There was a ton of drinks.
I was going to say, usually the guys will take care of some of it for us. They're nice at the Westgate. You know, we work for them. We work with them. So there's no way.
I think this might have been before you had the hookup. I don't even know that you were at the dinner. I think you might have been working. It was definitely fantasy football weekend, and John definitely got crushed.
Back to Brady for a second. That's a good fucking prize. By the way, don't expect that ever again. He won a contest to get a suite at the MGM, a 250 voucher for dinner and drinks, and the Drew Carey show. Sorry about the last part.
Why, the Drew Carey show?
Yeah, I don't know. Brady, was he funny? Because he's kind of turned into a weirdo.
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe it's because I love Price is Right so much. He's ruined the show. I take these things personally. This one will get you. When I do have to amend. Most expensive was probably a time where I tried to be generous like this, and I offered to pay for like 5 of us, and I didn't realize how much the meal was going to be. So I think I got hit at the Capitol Grill for like $400 or $500. So.
I had a buddy who took his girlfriend and 2 of her friends to Vegas, and took me. Or I went. He didn't pay for me to go to Vegas. I went, but he's like, we're going to dinner, and he wanted to impress everybody, so he got a limo, and that's where we went. And he picked up the check there, and I still am like, I don't, like, you've lost your mind.
Wait, is Mr. G saying you paid $250 in the Catskills? Oh,
a Resort World Catskills?
Yeah. That's rough. Do you know what the whiskey was?
No, I have no idea, because I didn't know anything about it then. Like, last 5 or 6 years, you start getting old, and, there's a limit. Back in the day, you could handle 24 beers. Like, now you're like, God damn, I'm full. This is not going to work. We got to figure out another way to get to where I want to go quicker without, I may be a fat ass, but I still get bloated. Like, that's it, So then you start going, all right, what else is out there?
What do you think of what Doug says here? You pay for the memory, not the food.
And I'm fine with that. Like, I don't regret the decision. But like, from a meal standpoint, was $1,000+ meal that I feel like, man, I got my money's worth? No, I didn't.
Sorry, the Aaron Solgood, who said he paid for a meal and everyone got foie gras. He said this is what upset him the most, is the guy who got the wedge salad that cost $30. That would piss me off. Like, what? Come on. What are you doing?
I love it.
Where's Vinny's? I've never heard of that. Where's Vinny's in San Diego?
I don't know. Ask JD.
These places are the best. By the way, why don't we go to one of these again? We went to the one at
Houston
at Mirage. We went to the Brazilian Steakhouse at Mirage.
Oh, we did, yeah.
How come that actually should be one of our regular stops because it's relatively affordable. I mean, with alcohol, you're pushing it up there, but usually they're like, hell, and in Vegas, we could probably get a little bit of a deal on it and get it down to like $45 a person.
Just make sure we don't go to the one in Bridesmaids.
I don't remember that. What was it?
Did you see the movie Bridesmaids?
Oh, did they get sick from it or something? And is that the one she was shitting in the street?
Do you think maybe you should have eaten all that gray meat?
Yeah, the gray meat. Yeah, Texas Day, Brazil.
Is that what it is at the Mirage?
No, I'm not even sure the one at the Mirage is open anymore.
Oh, probably not. Every hotel, the restaurants turn over every 2 years.
I agree. If you go and you don't get the meat sweats, you are not doing it right. Because I gorge, just go crazy. All right, you want to roll through quickly the lineup in football this week?
Yeah, we can. I mean, if you want to embarrass yourself further.
Yep, I'm all about that. It's my life.
You want to talk about Oklahoma shitting in the ear of Florida after Florida talked all kinds of shit about OU not being an SEC team?
Yeah, but here's the thing. The SEC people are already using the excuses. Well, they had COVID. I mean, they're not excuses. It did happen. They had a bunch of guys opt out, all their best receivers.
No, it's excuses.
Okay.
When you talk shit, you must back it up. You don't get to be like, well, but our best guy wasn't there. Up your ass. No. No. They can't play with us. They're not an SEC school.
Right.
Like, Oklahoma is an SEC school. Like, that was going to be my point. Like, is the Big 12 the SEC? It's not. But is Oklahoma the SEC? It is. It is. Oklahoma has quietly controlled the Big 12 in football at like 95% the way Kansas has controlled the Big 12 in basketball. Like, Kansas has won, what is it? I don't even remember. What did they win in a row? 12, 13, 14, then they lost one, then they won another one. Oklahoma's won like 12 of 14, right? That's insane. Oklahoma is an SEC school, right? They are that caliber of football. And by the way, if I were the SEC and I was going to expand, I'd grab Kansas and Oklahoma. And I think they should do it tomorrow. They should grab the Kansas brand to have a Kansas-Kentucky basketball opposite side, the two kingpins, ready to go for their basketball league, which provides most of the content for the SEC network. And then they would add Oklahoma on the west side, and they could actually, instead of having this weird, shit-eating, I guess I should do it like this based on how it looks, Missouri in the east bullshit. They could actually have an east and a west and balance out the powers. Whether you sent Alabama and Auburn across or, whatever you wanted to do, or at least send Auburn over. I know for whatever reason, I know why Alabama likes the Tennessee, rivalry game, because they kick the shit out of them. Why the dumbasses at Tennessee insist upon having that game every year with Alabama is beyond me. I guess they don't like to win, or they don't ever want to actually be successful. Right. But like if you grab those two schools and went to 16, now it's over, because you have two of the most storied basketball programs. You had another of the most storied football programs. Like that would be it. But I digress. Oklahoma was a better team if Florida had all their players. That is a fact. I say that because I had Oklahoma ranked. I had Florida at 6. I think Oklahoma at 5 preseason. But coming down the stretch, like if you pick the 4 best teams to play for the national championship, Oklahoma is absolutely one of the 4 best teams. If you pick the 4 best resumes, Oklahoma doesn't have the best resume, and so it's fine that they didn't get in. But Oklahoma is definitively a better team than Notre Dame. And that was easy money. If you had a bet, that was easy money. And I don't give a shit if the wideouts played and everybody else played. Oklahoma's a better team.
I got the value pick. I got Florida plus 8.5. So right side loss. Right side loss.
No.
It was 17-13. I was in the game.
No.
I think you're right. Doug says, why would you?
It's a Cotton Bowl record for rushing.
I know.
With a spread offense. They ran for over 400 yards. Like, were the wideouts going to stop the run? Like, eat shit. Like, the SEC is the best conference out there. There's no doubt about it. Right? And it means more. Their expectations and all their hype and their bluster and their bullshit, it's real. They pump the value and they pump the expectations and they pump up how good that league is, and it does. It just keeps raising the bar. But Oklahoma is on that level, and Florida is a very good team, but Oklahoma's better.
Couple of things out of the game aside from the game itself. I'll tell you what, I feel bad for the guys who may have it, but Florida had another COVID issue. Like, Dan Mullen, what the fuck are you doing?
I mean, your leadership.
Dude?
Well, like, Dan Mullen is fascinating to me because I loved him at Mississippi State because you could grab a lot of value with him on games, and he clearly knows offense. He clearly can coach quarterbacks, but he's like the raging, out of control. Like, college football coaches think they're God because nobody can – if they're winning in a power program, nobody can tell them shit.
Yep.
And he is the guy that's, even Dabo Swinney, who doesn't step in as much shit as him, but still says things that's like, dude, stay in your lane. You coach football. Stop trying to preach to everybody what their socioeconomic plan should be and what their political plan should be.
You watch. It's lining up. The ultimate joke. The Supreme Court, we talked about it with a legal insider today. The Supreme Court is going to look at the pay for college athletes idea.
Yep. And,
hey, Dabo, you're the one who said if they ever paid him, you'd be looking for something else to do. So get the fuck out.
Yeah,
you quitting, buddy, or are you going to take on the Supreme Court? Now, I'm more powerful than the Supreme Court. Here he took on California on the site of the Rose Bowl, where he's pointing at California, raging with COVID, and he's like, it's stupid to go all the way out there and not have people in the building. Like, dude, California ain't South Carolina. California's got a lot of issues, but Dabo, bite your tongue every once in a while. All right, you are a low character guy. You don't have to show it at every turn.
Low character guy.
He's shown it way too many times.
Tell me, I'm not arguing.
Yeah,
because I think he gets out of his lane a lot, right? But tell me the low character part.
I think the low character right off the bat is the point I made earlier that it all has to be for me. The players can't get a taste.
Okay, so that's part of it. I will tell you that around the college football circles, everybody there's a strong, and whether it's just, it may just simply be good old-fashioned jealousy. But there are a lot of people that are like, the aw shucks good old boy thing is bullshit.
Of course it is.
But he recruits like it's nobody's business. He game plans.
He's a great coach. He's a great coach.
He's turned over assistants on the offensive side and continue to win. Like, we're watching Ed Orgeron try to turn over assistants, and it went horribly wrong. He also lost 15 draft picks, but
not even close. Not even close. No. Well, Dabo is a beast, but it's at least once a year he says something where you're like, well, that was a good example to set for the kids.
So who gets it more, Dabo or Nick Saban?
Who gets what more?
Just life in general. How to run the operation.
1,000,000,000% Saban.
Yes, agreed.
Dabo's a child at times. And the thing with Florida State this year, he's shitting on Florida State, basically like they're afraid to play us. And then that trickles down to the players. What kind of lessons are you teaching your guys? Like, sometimes it's adversity. Sometimes it doesn't work out, all right? Sometimes someone else has a perspective that may not be yours. It doesn't mean they're a pussy.
Right, and I'm with you, and that's what I see about Dan Mullen, right? And he thumbed his nose at the whole COVID thing, and then it derailed his friggin' team. They didn't take it serious, right? Like, listen, Andy Reid, I think his political lean is to the right, because there was somebody he backed, and he made a mistake, and it kind of blew up in his face. He's never say anything again. But he has 100% embraced every aspect of following the COVID protocols. And his team has had minimal issues with it. And they're sitting at 14-1. They're done there with one loss, playing the meaningful games. Dan Mullen thumbed his nose at it, and he's had all kinds of issues with it. They had to cancel games, which, like, at his level, they don't give a shit. So we cancel the game. It doesn't go as a loss, right? The NFL said, we're playing them all. So you might have to play on a Wednesday and turn around and play on a Monday. Like that shit will happen. So keeping your shit together, and they had to go play a Tuesday against Buffalo because of the Titans bullshit. And to Andy Reid's credit, I would have blasted the Titans. Like, wait a minute, I got to screw up my next game because you guys can't get your shit together down there the week before me. But like Dan Mullen, there's no repercussions for your team not being able to stay disciplined. And listen, college kids is way harder than pro kids. I get it, but Mullen is an exceptional football coach. He is considered a quarterback guru.
Great.
He does so many things right, but God, he is tone deaf to the big picture of things.
I think there was a little bit of bad luck involved in some of the COVID outbreaks. It is hard controlling kids, but there were programs out there that did do it and didn't have issues, like major issues with COVID.
There were a handful of them that played all their games. Now, part of that was because they got lucky because the other team didn't screw it up.
You're right. That was part of it. And Dan Mullen is doing this, so he had multiple outbreaks in his program. It screwed him in the bowl game. I will also say I back the kids that opt out, right, because they've got NFL futures.
Sure.
But I also think it says something about the coach if the players are like, nah, not going to do it for you, Dan. Sorry. And overriding.
Yeah, but you think like the Penn State linebacker, I forget his name.
Micah Parsons.
Yeah. I mean, James Franklin, he's the opposite end of the spectrum, seemingly, from Dan Mullen. You don't like Franklin?
Not really, no.
Because of the shit that went on at Vanderbilt as he was out the door?
Yep. And the other thing with Mullen, this is all happening at the Florida, with the Florida program with COVID repeatedly. Bro, the basketball team, across the hall, a kid almost died, and it may be COVID related. We don't know for sure. Keontae Johnson's back. Like, read the fucking room.
Well, the part that frustrates me too is like, I did my fantasy NBA auction last night, and we did it with a Zoom. And one of the guys in my auction said that he got the virus. He watched a KU game, so super early, right? They were still playing college basketball. His buddy said, hey, you want to come over and watch Kansas? He said, yeah. Went and watched the game, got it from his buddy. He said, he goes, I haven't been the same since. It attacked my nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He goes, and I'm still not 100%. Like, what's the long-term effect on him? Right? So the whole idea, like, pointing to, I've heard like 99.7%. But what about the 0.3%? Right? And that's a death rate. Okay. Then but how many people are still, messed up because they went through it? Like, it's frustrating. I was listening to this guy. He's like, yeah, this is what I have to deal with. And this is my problem. And this is it. I'm like, holy shit, man. Like, he's like, yeah, I went through it. And is the treatment better now? And had he got it now, would he have been way better off? I don't know. But like, they have no idea what's coming at the end. So like, if you're a coach, like, you should manage the entire, portfolio of what is a possibility of happening. Not just like, well, 90% of it, this is what happens. 90% of our kids are going to be fine. Well, but 10% of them might have lingering issues. Whatever.
Yeah, the one more thing on Dabo in terms of the character. I think if another school believes that, you didn't handle COVID correctly, that coach says, hey, I'm not putting my kids at risk, you just come off as a buffoon. If you start blanket statement, you throw out a blanket statement basically suggesting Florida State's afraid of you. The runoff from that is those kids are pussies. I don't think you do that when you're an educator. Take the high road, bro.
I don't either.
You would have beat their ass. You're not scoring recruiting points. It's obnoxious.
Well, I mean, that's what I wonder, because I do hear people say a lot of really kind things, a lot of really positive things about Mike Norvell, like that, like he's going to be the real deal at Florida State. Mm-hmm. And so doesn't it make you wonder a little bit, like, is he actually, because they weren't the number one class, right? Clemson's got as much momentum as anybody. Alabama was definitively the number one class, and Clemson was at like 6 or 7, right? Was that? I think they were like 6 or 7.
Yeah,
which is fine, still really good, right? But not. They've been, top 5 X number of times. Like, is Florida State cutting into him a little bit? Did he lose a couple of kids to Florida State? And there's some sour grapes, and it's like, wait a minute, oh shit. And I will say, I mean, I don't know what all went on. Like, always there on the side of keeping everybody healthy. It is a little weird that, like, okay, twice Florida State got the other team down there and then went, yeah, we can't play.
Right.
All the expenses. So I don't know everything that's going on there, but I do always wonder, like, is this Mike Norvell, who did a fantastic job at Memphis, is actually starting to cut into him recruiting-wise, and he's feeling the pinch? He's like, oh, shit, that sleeping giant's waking up. And, like, Miami's got some things going on, right? Mm-hmm. Because they've got 2 first-round defensive ends in this year's draft. They're able to get De'Aaron King to come from Houston. Like, apparently maybe Miami's waking up. Like, I always say that, take a look at, like, when Iowa wins the Big Ten, Michigan or Ohio State or both are down, right? And Iowa needs to be lurking where they're, like, if Ohio State at their best is a 10 and Iowa's best is an 8, they need to be close to an 8 all the time. So when Ohio State falls down to a 7, they can take advantage of it and win the Big Ten and go to the Rose Bowl. Well, Clemson's history is they needed Florida State to be down, and Florida State's been down. So, like, if Florida State gets it right with a coach and Miami gets it right with a coach, is Dabo Swinney going to play in 4 straight national, 3 or 4 national championship games in 4 years? I say no, right? So he's making hay while it's good, but he also knows that if Miami and Florida State put their shit in order, it gets a lot tougher for him.
Yeah.
I will give him credit, too, when expansion was going on and everything, and people were talking about Clemson and Florida State going to the Big 12, which was laughable. Dabo, like, and what's his name, the A&M coach now?
Jimbo Fisher.
Jimbo Fisher's like, well, our schedule sucks, and we don't have this, we don't have that. And Dabo Swinney's like, listen, everything we need to win a national championship is right here. We need to play the schools that are right here because the talent's right here. Yep. And he has been proven a prophet on that.
He's a great coach. I just wish he would take the high road here and there. All right.
Oh, I agree.
Rapid fire. Eagles.
Here we go. Eagles, Colts, Bears, Cowboys, Steelers.
That was it. Nah. Go ahead. Finish it up. I'm taking the Eagles against the football team. It's locked in at 2.5. Football team's a mess right now. I mean, is Taylor Heineke in what way? Is Taylor Heineke going to play quarterback? And is he that much of a downgrade from Alex Smith? I don't have a lot of confidence in Alex Smith or whatever he is, 80%. And I'm not getting into motivation on Doug Peterson's side. I would hope Doug Peterson, God damn you, has some fucking pride to close out the season in decent form here.
Where's your confidence with Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, though?
Over Taylor Heineke?
I mean, just in them. Isolate them. Don't put it as in, like, oh, that's a smellier turd over there.
Yeah.
Are the Eagles a turd?
They are a turd.
They're both
turds. Yeah, they're both turds. The best unit on the field is obviously the defense for the football team.
Is Jalen Hurts Russell Wilson?
I almost said not yet. No, he's not.
No, he's not. Right? I don't think he is. And I'm with you. Like, I can't play football team with the quarterback situation. You know me, I won't play a team with no quarterback, but I can't bring myself to play the Eagles. They've been a turd all year. Like, week 17, they're not going to figure it all out. No play.
Jags plus 14, I'm on it.
You're shitting me, right?
I will probably play against every team that they have to win. I'll play the dog in almost every case because I think there's an extra 2 or 3 points built into the number.
I agree. I agree with that. But I do think that the Colts are a good team, and I think the Jags are going to finish the job at getting the number 1 pick. Well, they've already got it; it's locked up.
They got it.
But I don't think there's any aspirations there with the Jags. I don't think they're good. I wouldn't play the game.
Yeah.
But my side, if I had to pick one, would be the Colts.
Easiest game of the week. Packers still with a chance at the number 1 seed. Rodgers was kind of joking around today, making little smirky remarks about the Bears. Bears have a chance to make the playoffs. Packers will be motivated to smack them around. They love that rivalry.
So now that applies. So what doesn't apply for the Colts applies for the Packers.
No, because I think they actually they gave the they have to win benefit to the Bears side in setting the number.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
They think the Bears are, they're more up against the wall because, they need to win, although there's a way. I think can the Bears get in? Someone correct me in the room. I hate these.
Can get in.
No. Can they get in with a loss? I think they're out if they don't.
I haven't spent any time on the NFC.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm on the Bears.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah, but I'm kind of a Matt Nagy, whore. So I actually think Trubisky is playing Alex Smithian football. I think he's kind of had his lesson of like, okay, I'm never going to be Patrick Mahomes, so I'm not going to get a $500 million deal, but I can get me, a $100 million deal if I just quit turning the ball over. And I do think that Montgomery and the run game, they found it. I do think the Packers are susceptible on defense, although they're playing better. This to me smells like a field goal game. I like the Bears.
All right. Woo! Cowboys and Giants. I'm on the Cowboys. I like the Cowboys last week.
I listen. The Cowboys, I think, have found themselves. Like, I think not enough. If we look back, if they win this game, we will look back and say we did not give enough attention to the fact that it's a first-year coach, and sometimes that takes time. Plus, the Cowboys were wrecked with injuries on the offensive line. So, I'm fine with playing the Cowboys. I don't love the game either way. Giants still have something to play for. They put the Redskins late to make sure, or football team late to make sure that they, have a reason to go out there and fight. But, I don't really have a side.
Steelers +9 against the Browns. This one is fascinating. Obviously, no Big Ben.
Yeah.
Rudolph's in there. This is to me, this is a crazy line.
Where you at?
I already bet the Steelers. I'm trying to look at the number I got because I think I got more than 9. I bet it like a day and a half ago when they first set the number after it was announced that Big Ben was out.
Like, I'm with you. Like, you either play the Steelers or you don't play it. There's nothing about the Browns. If this were the Chiefs or, teams that had exhibited, an ability to take care of business, but the Browns have not exhibited an ability to take care of business. I don't know that it's like I can see the scenario for it, but I like Mike Tomlin, and Mike Tomlin with no quarterback went 8-8 last year. So I'll take my chance with it. I think the Browns are so heavily dependent upon the running game, and the Steelers are banged up, but I'll take the Steelers.
RJJ Ryan 1 says Steelers +10, 120 on Bovada. Yeah, I got it on Monday +10, -110, so I jumped on that one. So we'll see. Maybe I'll get my teeth kicked in and the Steelers won't try, and the Browns will be triumphant and storm into the playoffs. Ooh. Titans and Texans. I think I'd lean Texans +7.5.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But probably a stay away.
I'm Titans. The Texans are a flawed team. Romeo Crennel is a flawed coach.
Yeah.
And when Kiki Kute is the guy you're trying to get the ball to, and I have him on a dynasty team, so I'm not hating on the guy, but I mean, I think he's your third wideout, and he's like, one of their go-to guys. Like, that's a problem. And I think we're also finding out that Deshaun Watson's ability to have negative plays is a big deal when the rest of your team is down personnel. When you don't have DeAndre Hopkins, when you don't have Will Fuller, there's an issue. I like the Titans.
I'll lay the 6.5 with the Saints against the Panthers. Panthers now down McCaffrey and the backup Mike Davis. Saints motivated again, still in the running for the number 1 seed.
Why aren't you on the Panthers?
I think the Saints will handle them. I think the Saints are starting to get, that playoff focus, and now you get another game from Breeze, a little healthier.
I'm not trying to be a dick, but wouldn't your statement like all the teams, they're like, oh, they got to have it, I'm going to be against them?
I guess I'm deviating on a couple.
Okay. I like the Panthers.
Play of the week for me is Jets +3 against the Patriots.
I can't play the Jets.
You're not going to play the game?
No, I can't play the Jets.
They love this man. I told you they love Adam Gase. They're going to play hard for him.
I cannot play the Jets. And I can't get anywhere near this next turd.
Well, the Vikings have just been a betting nightmare this year. 6.5 against the Lions. Poor Darrell Bevel. I don't think he did enough to get the job. I mean, COVID didn't help. But all right, so that's a stay away. You know what? I'll have to say it right now. I was wrong. I don't know what I'm going to do in the playoffs. I was talking about fading Brady A little later in the season, fatigue, older guy. Holy shit, he's been great.
Yeah.
6.5, though, against the Falcons here. You just watched the Falcons. Falcons defense, it sucked in the first half.
Their front seven, Grady
Pretty good,
Jarrett,
man.
and their linebackers are super active. The secondary is where they have issues, but they covered that up really well against the Chiefs. But I will tell you this, like I said, the worst game that I've seen Patrick Mahomes play was last week against the Falcons. He was just off for whatever reason. And so I'm not going to read too much into that. I would tend to be on the Bucs. I'm not playing the Falcons until a lot of things change. So, that.
Just dropping by. Yes, he is. He's a joke. And all my comments about Adam Gase were also jokes. So get out. That's enough. Ooh.
Ravens are bust.
I believe in Brandon Allen.
Bengals
plus 12. Bengals plus 12.5. Now the Ravens have been just on a freaking roll. The run game is back. Lamar Jackson looking better. I'm going to stay away from the game, but I still would lean Bengals.
Ravens are a very dangerous team in the playoffs, right? Like the Chiefs in 18 were the 1 seed. In 19, they were headed towards the 3rd seed till the Pats spit the bit against the Dolphins. And, they were on their, redemption tour. But I think the Ravens redemption tour got off the ground when they hit rock bottom. And I really, like, people ask me, like, oh, who do you not want to see as a Chiefs fan? What is it? It's like the Bills. Bills are the flavor of the month. The Ravens are the team people aren't thinking about, and they're still super dangerous. John Harbaugh can coach. You still got it. Like defensive coordinators, like the first thing every defensive coordinator has to ask themselves, is the quarterback a threat to run? This one is. He's super dangerous. Game by game, he's super dangerous. The Ravens are a scary team. Like I'd play the Ravens or I wouldn't play it, but I also like a Ravens Super Bowl championship bet is not a bad thing.
Bills are 2.5 against the Dolphins. We had two trains of thought this week when we were talking about this game on our local show. One, would it be the worst thing for the Bills to rest and essentially let the Dolphins into the field and help eliminate the Colts, who I think are a better team and a more dangerous team?
I agree.
The Bills have no idea who they're playing. Or do the Bills want to fight for the 2 seed, right? And the counter to this is like, there's no home field event. Well, there is a little bit. And there's also the possibility, like, one, you'd rather, you don't want to travel, right? Have to go through all the COVID protocol bullshit. And two, I don't know what the weather's going to be like in Buffalo for the next couple of weeks. Would it be nice to have a team come there and have to go through a living hell? So I think McDermott, I don't want anyone hurt. They got Beasley hurt at the end of the game in the 4th quarter last week. So that was stupid. They were pouring salt in the wound, right? They were breaking the neck of Belichick. They could have pulled the reins and they got Allen out of the game. It's probably right after Beasley went down. So I don't know what I'm saying anymore. But I think the Bills will be motivated. I don't think McDermott's just going to say it doesn't matter if we're at home. It doesn't matter if we get the 2 or 3 seed.
I think it does matter. I think for the Bills, you're building a culture, and I think the 2 seed matters. And I think making sure that your first 2 games are in Buffalo is important. Which I think they could be at Pittsburgh, right, with a loss,
right,
in the next round. So I think it's important. I think the Bills bring it, but I think the Dolphins. The Bills are definitely better than the Dolphins because the Dolphins don't have the consistent quarterback play that the Bills do right now. But the Dolphins, on a good day, can beat them.
If looking ahead, say the Dolphins win, lose, whatever, they make the playoffs, right? No, let's say they lose.
Oh, wait, let me ask you this first.
Yeah.
Bills are laying less than a field goal at home.
Yep.
And they're considered and I listened after they won on Monday night. Everybody talking about how the Bills offense is the Chiefs offense, but they're playing well. And I listened on Monday night, and I'm sure it's thin-skinned fandom. I'm like, really? We're going to talk about like the Bills are the best team in the AFC? And I get they just watched them play and play well. And that I haven't continued to hear that through the week, but I've been, like I said, I'm off and I'm working on crap at the house. I'm not watching as much stuff as I usually be watching. But if they're the new flavor of the month and they might be better than the Chiefs, why are they only laying 2.5 to the Dolphins?
Again, I think people are trying to judge motivation and goal in the game.
Okay.
Bills are in, Dolphins aren't automatically in. So, hey, the Dolphins will be more driven. It's that same thing. It's like, hey, hey, they need to win. let's give him an extra couple of points. All right, I guess. Oh, what I was going to ask is, for Flores, Dolphins are trying to win. Tua goes out and he's just not good. Nothing's happening. He sucks. They got to bring in Fitzy. Does Flores finally say, come on, now we're in the goddamn playoffs. We got to play the guy who's best right now, and he goes with Fitzy in the playoffs?
He frankly, this to me is where they made a big mistake. Is like a blueprint was put out there with the Patrick Mahomes apprenticeship year behind Alex Smith and Fitzpatrick. I talked to people about like, why didn't you keep Nick Foles for less money and cut Alex Smith a year earlier? And they're like, because Alex Smith was the right guy to mentor Patrick Mahomes, right? Nothing against Foles, but he was the right guy to mentor Mahomes. I don't know if Fitzpatrick is or isn't the right guy, but I think there was something to be said for Tua, who they needed to sit for X amount of weeks because of the hip, and he should have watched all year. Throwing him out there early, to me, was a mistake. And so I've always been a Fitzpatrick proponent that you're getting 80, 90% of some of the top quarterbacks for, 20% of the price. So, yeah, but you're going to – the problem is that they see Fitzpatrick will win you a game you shouldn't win, but he'll lose you a game you shouldn't lose, right? Because he's not going to quit firing. So when he's on, he'll throw 6 touchdowns. When he's off, he'll throw 5 picks. And every coach fears the picks and the mistakes more than they appreciate the success. Simple as that. But yes, Tua should not have played a game yet.
Chargers, Chiefs.
Chiefs.
You bet the Chiefs with Henny plus 3.5.
Chiefs went in with 20 backups in 2017 at Denver. Not their vintage defense, but still one of the top defenses in the NFL. Mahomes started. We now know he's a great quarterback, but he threw for 291 yards, no touchdowns, and an INT. The Chiefs actually took him out. Tyler Bray came in, turned the ball over a couple of times. They ended up putting Mahomes back in the game, and they kicked the game-winning field goal and covered. They went to the Chargers in 13 with Chase Daniel, catching like 7 or 8. They had the playoff spot locked up. They put Chase Daniel in. They missed a last-second field goal that would have won the game. The Chiefs have consistently played well in a spot like this, and the Chargers are dead men walking. Play the Chiefs. Chiefs win outright. I'm going to keep firing, Steve. 44-10.
Confidence in KC. I want to bet the Niners plus the 6 against the Seahawks, but I tell you, the NFL does a brilliant job. I mean, this part of it sucks. There's 7 afternoon games, which is terrible. But they make sure that the teams that are competing for spots, like the number 1 seed, all 3 teams that can get the number 1 seed in the NFC will all play at the same time. So
yeah, because they pulled their head out of their ass and started following what the EPL does. The EPL
right.
plays everybody at the same time.
Right.
It at least made it to where, teams that could have something to play for will have something to play for when they play, and which is smart.
Yeah, I think this one will be nip and tuck. And I think the number, again, the Seahawks are – there's probably 2 points built into this. What do you think? 1.5 built into the Seahawks need to win?
Yeah. I mean, I actually kind of like – I'm with you. I like the Niners in this.
And I think little Shanny wants to close strong. I think he wants to have a good taste in the mouth of the guys. I mean, there's – what other reason is there for George Kittle coming out last week and playing? Right?
Right. It's a cultural thing. Yeah, and I think they'll want to make a statement against the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks need the game. Like, listen, if the Seahawks win by 30 points, I'll get it. The problem with taking the Niners and the problem with these and where those extra points, you can say, are built in on motivation. But in the last week, if the Niners get down, if they go down by 10, is there any fight left?
It's a good question. It's a good question with all these teams that really have nothing to play for.
I mean, that's why I get those numbers. Like, what usually ends up happening is the team that seemingly has nothing to play for, if they come out and they get off to a good start, they're in the fight, and it's a fight to the end. If they come out and they don't have a good start, and we know everybody in the NFL, if you bet these games, you're up 21-6, and you're laying 6, you're like, this thing's in the back. Bullshit. At some point, you're going to be staring down at one drive that can screw you. Well, in these games, I guarantee you the ones where you think there's extra points baked in, either it's going to be a fight to the end and the dog comes home and is there all day, or they get down early and the favorite wins big.
You know where I'm going, Raiders and Broncos.
You're going Broncos.
Yep.
I'm there too. I don't see where there's anything left to play for the Raiders.
It feels like a nightmare here.
It does.
That game last week was ridiculous, and there's just I don't know. There's a lot of weird stuff going on with the Raiders organization, so they got a lot to fix. I think Gruden is a good coach. I don't think he's a good personnel guy. I also think he's the kind of guy who maybe the message wears thin when things aren't going as well. I just see some guys, some of the veterans, just taking their foot off the gas pedal and not being fired up for this game against the Broncos. And it's a shit road trip with nothing at stake. You going to be jacked up for this game?
No, I'm with you, so I like the Broncos as well. But if the Raiders, so let me ask you this: if the Raiders win, then what kind of statement does that mean? Because I always like to talk about, okay, what are our expectations? Okay, here it is. All right, now if we're wrong, then we got to throw some props towards Gruden and the Raiders. If we're like, there's nothing to play for here, and the Raiders come out and kick ass, then you got to throw some props his way, right?
A little bit, but the season as a whole has it's not been good, and now you're getting a lot more talk about the team not being prepared, the team not being taught, assistant coaches who are long in the tooth. They have some major changes to make. We had a good conversation today with Ryan Harris, who played for the Broncos, and he shit all over Gruden. He's like, he said, watching it from the outside, he's like, the guy's a 10-year contract. Like, what sense of urgency is there with him? Like, he's not on the hot seat. His first 3 years here, his record is actually worse than, if you look at the last 3 years of Cable and Del Rio, Gruden's actually got a worse record.
Well, first of all, Del Rio, I think, is an underrated head coach. I'm not saying he's a great head coach, but I think he's an underrated head coach. Right. I think he has a system and a plan and a calendar and all the things he has structure, right? Del Rio can put together structure and go out there. And I would like to see Del Rio. Listen, he had Derek Carr playing at a high level. Mm-hmm. Then he got hurt. I mean, every coach will look better with a Hall of Fame quarterback, right? Like what's the difference between Jack Del Rio and Mike Holmgren? Is it Aaron Rodgers? I would tell you that. The difference between Marty Schottenheimer and Bill Belichick, is it Tom Brady? I'll make you a strong case it is.
Right.
The difference between 9 Super Bowl appearances and 0, but numerous playoffs, is the quarterback. So I'm with you from that standpoint. But Vic Fangio on the other side, he ain't the guy.
That's
the flip side. Is like, we can talk about Gruden because it's like, well, can he get back to the Super Bowl? Okay, I think Gruden with a team that's up and running. I think Gruden's problem is I do think his personnel decisions, like having a yes man as a personnel guy, I don't know that's the right thing.
That's the problem.
And I'm not saying Mayock is, but the perception is by contract, he certainly is.
Yeah, I mean I still think Gruden can coach in the NFL, but I think he's got to change up his staff a little bit. And yeah, the GMing duties of Gruden, they need some other powerful voices in there because they've missed so often. And then the weird thing with listen, Alabama and Clemson produce players, but like every year you come out of the draft and you're like, yeah, we drafted 5 of them. Like, what?
Well, listen, they missed with Farrell. I mean, he is what everybody else thought he was. He's proven to be a reach. Ruggs, there were some people that I'm going to tell you, metric people that love Ruggs.
Yeah.
Right. But like, you can't, like, I can defend the reason they took Farrell. I can defend why they took Ruggs. You can't consistently have to be defending those picks. You're in the get it right business. What I've always said is like, it's great that I can point to all these mock drafts and all these pundits that said this was the guy to take. That don't mean shit. That's great. That guy's going to write a new column about the next draft the next year. You're not going to draft if you don't get it right. So like, you can come up with all the reasons like, well, I'm not really that mad because I like the guy. It don't mean shit if your fans like the pick or not. You're in the get it right business.
Right.
Okay, so get it right. And Ruggs is not getting it right now. CeeDee Lamb was better. Justin Jefferson's better. And you shit the bed. You took the first wideout off the board. He has to be the best one.
How about be top 5? He's not even in the top 9 receiving yardage of rookies. It's like, whoa.
Listen, Brett Veach, I think, has done some amazing things here in Kansas City, and he gets shit for taking McCole Hardman ahead of DK Metcalf. And rightfully so.
Yeah.
And rightfully so.
A lot of people missed on him, and you know,
And McCole Hardman doesn't suck, by the way.
yeah, and Hardman wasn't the 12th pick in the draft.
That's true.
Last one, Murray sounds like he's going to play, so we're not going to have this nightmare matchup of whatever the guy's name is, Skeletor. It's not that guy anymore with the Cardinals. I've never heard of the backup of the Cardinals. This guy Wolford, same deal, AAF quarterback. What do you do with this game? 2.5 Cardinals. I mean, both teams obviously motivated to play well, want to get in the playoffs.
I mean, what are the Rams right now? Backup quarterback? I mean, like why isn't the number bigger? Am I wrong?
Question.
There's
no, I agree
for both. The Rams are without Goff. Who else are they? They're going to be without somebody else too.
They're down 2 of their running backs, so now Malcolm Brown's the experienced running back, and they're going to have to go with super young guys with Henderson and Akers out.
So why is the number bigger? I mean, I tend to lean to the Rams. I think they're trying to put you on the Cardinals.
All right, good deal.
Everyone have am I the only one on the Cardinals that like can Kyler Murray? He won it. Great. He threw a jump ball. But like let's throw some real touchdowns.
Hey, we should mention Cooper Kupp, COVID too.
That's the other one, Cooper Kupp, yeah.
All right. We'll wrap it. Everyone have a good New Year's. I hope everyone gets a chance to do something with a couple of people, have some fun. Soren?
Steve?
Good job. I will see. I did this for every interview today because I'm an asshole.
See you next year.
See you next year.